You do not need approval from other people to believe in yourself. I had to learn that I had to stop seeking approval and asking for permission to be great. I had to learn that me seeking approval was me destroying my confidence, was me saying I don't believe in myself because I don't see myself as greatness. That's when I learned that as I'm seeking approval, I'm seeking the wrong thing. I need to be seeking information, not approval from other people, because approval from other people is stopping my growth. What if the person I want approval from doesn't agree with what I want to do? Now I'm looking for validation for me to pursue my dreams. I had to learn that seeking approval was stopping my growth. But to stop asking for permission shows how much I've grown for myself. What's going on, everybody? My name is Terryl with the Terryl Humphrey, and welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge. Here at Failure is Knowledge, we speak about growth and how we're developing within ourselves. So we have to develop to become the best version of ourselves, but we have to learn how and who we are. That's why this episode and this podcast is so important, because we grow into our success. Before I even dive into the topic, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and wait towards the end and leave a comment. The first part I want to hit on is the lack of self-trust. When I learned that me asking for approval was me losing my confidence, it taught me that I need to learn and be more confident with everything that I'm doing. Approval is already saying I don't believe in everything that I'm doing. Approval is a rejection towards my belief. And I had to learn my belief was being destroyed because I wanted approval from everybody else. What I didn't understand was as long as I seek validation, approval from other people, my goals and my dreams never came true. They never came to reality because the approval was different than my thoughts. I had to learn that my thoughts was the answer that I was looking for, yet I didn't believe in myself. Even though it displayed the lack of self-trust, my trust was built within myself over time. It was built over time because I had to stop asking for approval. It taught me, even though I wanted approval from others, why can't I approve myself? Why can't I give myself the okay to say you're doing great? I never understood that I needed to start with myself. I never began to witness and feel and recognize that self-reflection, that self-trust, that self-belief starts with me. Can't nobody tell me how to believe in myself if I'm not willing to try. Approval stops the effort because it's different from what we're thinking. Just because the other person says no doesn't mean I should stop. Just because the next person I want validation or approval from has a completely different thought process than I do, I shouldn't stop. I shouldn't start. See, I thought just because somebody told me no doesn't mean I should begin. Even though as I was beginning, I was learning what belief even was. What belief even was. What belief actually was. What belief actually was. I didn't understand the more you put effort into yourself, the more you grow. The more you grow is the more you believe in everything that you're doing. And as you're believing in everything that you're doing, you have to recognize that it's going to take time. Approval is stopping your growth. I didn't understand that because I didn't understand the power of self-trust. I didn't know I lacked self-trust because I didn't know what it was. Self-trust is saying I believe in every step that I'm taking. I'm willing to fail, and I'm failing to learn. As I'm learning, I begin to grow, and as I go and start, I begin to grow through my misery. See, oftentimes we have to be knocked down so many times to recognize that this lesson is here for us to help us grow and to actually build confidence within our trust. See, our trust is getting developed by the effort. Yet, if we're not confident in the decisions that we make for ourselves, we don't see greatness, nor do we see it in ourselves. I didn't see it in myself because I didn't understand what it was. Now that I understand, Now that I understand I need to approve myself rather than seeking approval from everybody else, shows me how much I've grown. And we're growing because we learn more about ourselves. I didn't recognize that growth comes from trust. Trust was being developed because I was taking my time. As I'm beginning to take my time, I start to see and realize and recognize why approval from others wasn't working for me. because it was completely different from what I already had in mind. I was just afraid to believe in myself. I was afraid to have that self-trust because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to fail, and I was also afraid to look bad. I didn't know that looking bad was the best that could ever happen for me. Because now as I'm looking bad, I have to learn the skill. I have to develop the skill of communication. I have to be comfortable with speaking, because speaking has to be worked on every single day. Even though I'm working on it every single day, my approval, me seeking approval from others, stopped, because I don't need to ask, how does this sound if I'm putting in the work? Even though feedback from others is positive and helps in great forms, feedback is not approval, because I'm going to do it regardless of the fact. Feedback is just helping me get better. Self-approval. I'm approving myself. It's showing and demonstrating how much trust I have in my actions. See, the feedback is saying, yes, the actions that you're taking is actually pretty good. Or the feedback that you're taking is actually pretty bad. Or the feedback that you're taking, I really don't resonate with it. Or the feedback that you're taking, the feedback that you're receiving, I just don't understand it. See, that's why I began to understand that even though I'm taking consistent action, I have to be open to feedback rather than approval. Because if I'm asking for approval, I'm not believing in myself. If I'm asking for feedback, I'm growing within myself. That's when I began to understand that the power of success, the power of belief, the power of self-trust is identifying what we are doing for ourselves. Even though we're doing it for ourselves, the feedback will help us later on in life. And the next point I want to hit on is the fear of rejection. And this one is so important because we often get rejected before we even ask. We're the ones rejecting our belief because we don't understand what it is. See, when we seek approval from others, we want them to tell us it's not a good idea. I wanted the people that I was asking for help to tell me that it wasn't a good idea. I was rejecting myself before I even started. Yet, as I was asking for approval and I didn't get what I was looking for, it made me question, was I doing the right thing? Because I started asking the wrong questions. I was asking the wrong questions to gain the correct answers for my growth. Fear of rejection is already rejecting ourselves. We disqualify ourselves before we even try. We disqualify ourselves before we even get qualified. We disqualify ourselves before we even learn how the qualification works. I remember this one time, as one person asked me, what makes you qualified? I told them what makes me qualified is my divorce. She was like, well, okay. What makes me qualified to be a public speaker? I said, my divorce. She said, well, okay, well, I guess so. I guess so. The feedback showed me that I was on the right path. I just didn't ask for approval to say, am I qualified to be a public speaker? Am I qualified to be a content creator? Am I qualified to believe in myself? See, those wasn't the questions I was asking, because I knew that my self-trust was being built over time, that my confidence was being established as I became consistent. I don't need to ask, am I doing the right thing, when the right thing is right in front of me? The right thing that's right in front of me is the mirror. The mirror is showing me how important it is to continue along the path, to continue along the journey, to continue with your craft, because your craft get developed as you are consistent. I don't need to ask, am I making the right videos? Am I speaking about the right topics? Am I doing the right thing that can help a lot of people? I don't need approval. I just need a feedback, because the feedback is going to help me grow. The approval is going to stop my growth, because I'm looking for something that I'm not ready for. See, fear of rejection is saying I can't be confident on camera. Fear of rejection says I don't qualify to do this. Fear of rejection is saying, what makes me good enough for it? We disqualify ourselves before we even attempt to learn how to get qualified. You can only get qualified from you starting. I didn't understand when I was afraid to be rejected, I was rejecting myself. Even though I was rejected, I was rejecting myself because I wanted approval from others. I learned why self-belief is so powerful. If it's already in my mind, why am I not taking action on it? If I'm already believing it and I'm seeing it and I understand it, why am I not putting effort towards it? I had to learn that effort, just because I have a thought doesn't mean the effort is coming right behind it. I have to forcefully get up to figure out how to put effort in my craft. I have to forcefully put in my mind that I need to learn this skill. I need to develop. I just don't need approval. I need feedback, because the feedback is going to help me grow. I just don't need approval. I'm not seeking approval because I don't need to ask, can I make a video today? Can I make some content today to express why seeking approval destroys our confidence? I don't need to ask that, because my actions is displaying how much trust I have for myself. See, there's a difference. Yeah, I don't need approval. I just need feedback. Why? Because the feedback helps more than the approval. When I learned that approval stops us from really walking out in our potential, it showed me and really explained that trust has to be established in everything that I do. Everything that I do, I have to learn how to be confident in every decision that I make. Even if it go wrong, what did I learn from it? How can I be better for next time? Because next time will be a lot smoother. Self-trust get established when I understand that I don't need to seek approval from others. I just need to approve myself on the actions that I'm taking, because the actions that I'm taking is teaching me and showing me how to be consistent. If I'm consistent on a daily basis and I'm working and fixing on one thing per day, I learn and grow to a level where it's more controllable. Where the belief is within me, as it's within me, I'm growing. Because as I'm growing, I'm seeking feedback rather than approval to say, am I doing this right? Am I doing this on a consistent basis? That's when I stop asking, when I stop asking, can I do this? That's when I begin to ask, how did this help you? What did you gain from this? Did it even make sense? Because I trust myself to do the work. As I'm doing the work, I'm learning that approval is me. Approval stops my growth, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for constant evolving, constant evolution. Just because as I'm evolving, I'm learning how to be more consistent. I'm learning how to be more productive. I'm just learning along the way, because learning never ends. Why? Because we have to learn as we go and grow as we learn. That's why life is so important, because life rewards us the lesson that when it's time for us to understand it. Before I get to the last point, so this Wednesday at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm hosting a free webinar on how to repurpose your pain into your passion. We all have pain, yet we just don't understand how to overcome it. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes learning a skill and learning yourself to be comfortable walking into your passion. Your passion has always been in you. We just got to start from the beginning to learn more about ourselves. This Wednesday, I'm hosting a free webinar at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link will be in the description. Please sign up, register, and I will see you Wednesday for us to repurpose our pain into our passion. The last one I want to hit on is the cycle of disappointment. And it's interesting how at first we have lack of self-trust, where we're afraid to get rejected, and now there's a cycle of disappointment. The cycle of disappointment is just saying, why can't I do anything right just because I'm asking for permission to start? A cycle of disappointment is not identifying the action that we're taking today to grow into our success. A cycle of disappointment is always feeling down, because when we know we're supposed to be doing something, we're not putting effort towards it because we got the wrong type of approval. That's when I began to learn that the cycle of disappointment is all in my hands. How can I stop the disappointment from happening when I never understood what it was? That's when I began to understand that me seeking approval is not just stopping my growth, but it's stopping what I'm learning. It's stopping me taking actions. It's stopping me trying. How can we grow if growing has never been a topic? See, cycle of disappointment is just saying that the disappointment is going to happen regardless of the fact, because we're not believing in ourselves. Lack of belief causes disappointment. Lack of belief causes disappointment just because of we are not believing in the step and process that we need to put in ourselves. Action has to be taken every single day, and every single day we have to learn how to be confident in our walks. As we're walking to our greatness, disappointment becomes very minimal because we're no longer seeking approval from others. When I learned to stop seeking approval from others and learn how to ask the correct questions, it taught me belief. It taught me that I believe in myself, and as I'm believing in myself, this is why. I'm believing in myself just because of the fact that if I don't believe in myself, I'm not going to ever change. I'm not going to ever grow. I'm not going to ever evolve. Why? Because growth comes from a decision. Decision is made for ourselves. That's when I began to learn that the cycle of disappointment can be controlled if I begin to change what I'm asking. The cycle of disappointment can come to a complete stop once I understand that the disappointment is only here because I'm allowing it to be here. I'm allowing it to be present because I don't believe in everything that I'm doing. What if I change my thought process for myself to understand and recognize and witness that I believe in the steps that I will need to have to take to grow into the success that is yet to come. I don't need approval because approval is within myself. See, the cycle of disappointments has to be ended, has to stop, has to come to an end because we have to put ourselves first. As we're putting ourselves first, we have to learn what makes us happy, what makes us sad. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? Where are we trying to go? Who are we trying to become? See, the cycle of disappointment ends when we change what we are thinking about ourselves. What if we are qualified? What if I am good enough for this? What if I am good enough to make content? What if I am good enough to speak about this topic? What if I am qualified enough to believe in myself? What if I'm qualified enough to get myself approval? What if I'm qualified enough to have self-belief? See, that's when I began to understand that the cycle of disappointment was getting broken because it's no longer disappointment. It's no longer disappointment. It is now learning. How can I learn more about myself? What do I need to learn? How can I learn it? Who do I need to go to? As I'm learning and growing this new information is so overwhelming because I have to learn how to take it one step at a time. The cycle of disappointment has been broken because I'm no longer judging myself because I'm not good enough. I'm no longer talking myself down and out of the situation, out of the effort. I'm no longer doing it because I'm saying, how can I do this? What do I need to do? Who do I need to meet? Rather than disappointment, it's approval for myself to recognize that belief is getting instilled in me every single day. Daily action leads to consistency, and consistency leads to effort. Consistency leads to results. Consistency leads to growth. See, that's the thing that's what breaks the cycle of disappointment, because if we don't understand that we have to not fear rejection and stop rejecting ourselves and disqualifying who we are and who we want to become, we will grow a lot more than we think. Just because as we're growing, we have to understand and recognize that the lack of self-trust is not helping us because it's not forcing us to believe and be uncomfortable in our growth. That's what happens when we stop seeking approval from others and start approving ourselves for our journey. We grow into our success, and our success is always with us. That's when I begin to learn that we're on the right path. We're doing the right things. We're making the right move because we believe in everything that we're doing. If you got value from this, really enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below on how you seek approval and how you're going to stop letting it affect your life. Click this video right here to watch more videos on how to personally grow and develop into the person that you are.